Are you up? You are now. Okay. Well, good morning. Well, it's still dark out, but it is morning. You sleep pretty late. What do I want? Oh, goddess. Angela didn't tell you. Of course she didn't. I thought you were up pretty late for someone coming out this morning. Come on, sit up, feet on the floor. It's market day, and you're coming with us. Because you can't spend your time with us holed up in the tavern. It's past time you were introduced to Turin. So, maybe put some clothes on. Meet me and Angela downstairs when you're ready. We'll get some cave into you and you'll perk right up. Meanwhile, I'm going to go have a talk with Angela. Yeah. I'll see you down there.
There are a lot of empty stalls this week.
I know, but for their first time out, that might not be a bad thing. If you think this is busy, you should see it when the stalls are full. The market's been around as long as the town. We used to get traders from Valima and further east. You'd see a lot of fabrics, spices, things you couldn't get further inland. The wars made them more hesitant. The market isn't as robust as it used to be.
Most of the sellers today are local,
which actually makes it perfect for showing you the ropes. We know most of the merchants. Many have had stalls here for generations. There's a peace of mind being surrounded by acquaintances. Oh, Turin's small enough. Everyone's at least passingly familiar with everyone else.
And with their business. You find out a lot through the whisper web.
What she means is gossip travels fast in small communities. More so in the marketplace.
I said I was sorry, and it was just that once.
I know. Market starts before sunup and ends early to midday. It depends on when things sell out or get taken. Angela's usually here much earlier.
When they're setting up.
We have some standing orders with sellers. They'll make sure our needs are met, but if you want the best bread and produce, the earlier the better. You all right? You seem a little jumpy. Feeling eyes on you? Looks like you're already familiar with the first rule, then.
Rule 1. Be aware of your surroundings at all times. You never know what might happen outside the tavern, but you can steer away from trouble. Dagna made me memorize them when I first came to Turin.
In an open setting like this, being observant is the difference between getting caught up in and staying out of trouble. Depends who's involved. Most of us don't want extra attention, but there are some hotheads that prefer going to blows on principle. No one in turn is happy with the incursion we're under, but better to be alive and return home with all your limbs intact. Again, it depends. The Duke has an expansive army. Some pay us little mind, others take pleasure in showing their supposed power.
It wasn't always like this. One day, maybe it won't be anymore.
That's a conversation better had when there are fewer ears. Rule 2, you never know who may be listening. As for the eyes you've been feeling, you're right. I'd be surprised if everyone hadn't gotten a good look at you by now. No, we're not in any trouble. We've just garnered a little extra attention, as expected. Well, because of you. Not only are you new, but you're with us. No, not like that. Though it is rare for me to do early morning runs these days. Late nights at the tavern, do not early mornings at Market Pink.
I thought I told you. Sorry.
Today is about learning the ropes, but it's also about acclimatizing. You to the town to you. You'll be here a while, and they'll need to get used to you. This'll start the process. They know me. They know Angela. But you're new, unknown. By letting you near, walking with you, we're sending a message. That you're one of us, not someone to be avoided. We're giving you our unspoken seal of approval. A small community like this treats on trust. Anytime that trust is broken, we circle in more tightly. Newcomers either need time to build it or to borrow against someone else's. They'll talk to you, let you get to know them. You wouldn't have had the opportunity otherwise. And, since you'll be on bread day duty, hopefully they won't give you any guff. Oh, they can make it very difficult. When Angela first started...
Don't remind me.
My fault, not hers. I forgot to put word out. Thankfully, the Whisper Web did its job, and by the next morning, there were no issues. Getting to know them will take the time it takes. I can only give you the introduction. What you do with it is up to you. Once recognized as one of us, everyone will keep an eye on you out here. Makes it safer. This can be one of the safest, until it suddenly isn't. Which leads us to Rule 3. Know who you're dealing with. Not exactly. It's more about outsiders. The Duke's forces, their guards, the Brute Squad. Each noble house has a crest. Symbols worn by their men-at-arms. Learning those symbols means you know who to avoid. Some think too many houses, but most don't come out this far. We only see a handful regularly. A crest you don't recognize is a reason to be cautious. There's no telling what they'll want till it's too late. No one comes to Turin without a reason. We're on the periphery, a through town. There's very little to attract people. If you're coming here, there's a purpose. One of the many reasons we're wary of outsiders. They usually bring trouble. The irony is, while we have very little to offer, what we do have means Turin is twice blessed. The market attracts the Brute Squad, and our proximity to the border and the Magdell mean that we get regular visits from garrisons.
Forces from the noble houses. They come through 2-3 times a week?
There's no set pattern, by design, and they like keeping everyone guessing and on their toes. It's rare we get multiple garrisons at once, but it depends on activity. They always press harder when those rebels do something. Words matter, and people are listening. Coats of arms are the easiest way to identify different garrisons. They'll have them somewhere on their person. Tabards, armor, shields, those are the most common places. And if you see one, it's best to assume there are more around. This far east, there are only a few houses that have garrisons patrolling. Turin itself is overseen by the Sefri family. Their crest is the one you've been seeing on banners in town. A green shield with a brown chevron and a large tree with yellow acorns and splayed roots. The color represents the Magdell and the part the wood played in the family and the town's rise. A shield will always have symbolism that relates to their representatives and history. Supposedly, the tree and the roots represent potential. The Baron doesn't have much of his own army here because, well, he doesn't really have one. There aren't enough able-bodied individuals in Turin, so Baron Sefri's forces are largely hired or borrowed. He likes keeping them with him as an entourage. Their presence is how people know when he's home. I have my opinions of the man, but if you want a more factual assessment, talk to Ethan. He'd have more perspective on his uncle than me. Beyond Baron Sefri, the Duke's nearest allies in the area are the Ardens in Salea and the Cywards in Alrin. You'll see garrisons from both in town. The Arden's crest is a silver axe atop a black anvil on a purple and yellow shield. The skyward shield is round, black on top with 3 white feathers, and a wavy triangle of white at the bottom with 1 black feather. Yeah, it is. It gets easier with time and exposure. And if you need to write it down, there's no shame in that. But getting used to looking for them and keeping your wits about you, those are the lessons for the day. Yeah, that's all. But it might not be as simple as you think. It's more than opening your eyes and seeing. It's a matter of filtering out what's important, the wheat from the chaff. Take the merchant selling bread over there. They haven't moved in the last 10 minutes. Everyone around them is selling, sorting, restocking. Why do you think that is? Exactly, they're watching. Things can change at the drop of a hat, and that particular seller has noticed something. I want you to follow her eye line. Try to find where she's looking, but be subtle about it. Small movements. Don't let anyone know what you're really spying. Almost, but I saw your head turn. Try turning a little bit less and use the side of your eye. Trust what you actually see.
Don't fill in the blanks. Take in what you can and filter what's important. Don't worry. It took me a while to learn too.
Just like with the crests, it will take time. But you have the time to practice. And we'll help you. You're one of us now.
I'm glad you decided to stay. I was worried you were just going to be a pass-through.
See? I told you she gotten attached to you.
Hey, what's wrong? Your face changed. Dagna?
Yeah, I see it too.
I can't see. What is it?
I can't quite make it out, but it sounds like... We have to move.
What?
It's the Brute Squad. We have to go. Do you remember the way back to the tavern? It'll have to do. Angela, stay with them. If we get separated, you know the way. This place can be one of the safest. Until it suddenly isn't. Let's go. I heard you wanted to speak with me. Yes, it's been some time, but I'm a very busy individual. Don't forget, there's an entire wall that's on my shoulders. If I were to take the time for every request that came to my door, I would never have any time to find Princess Astrid. Now would I? You want me to let you go? That's why you had me come all the way down to my dungeons? You know as well as I that that will not be happening. You will remain my guest for as long as I deem it fit, and at the moment I simply have no reason to release you from my hospitality. Honestly, you should feel honored. I had every reason to kill you, but because of her, I have spared your life. Isn't this so much better than an unmarked grave, or being thrust into the sea from the Ayaka coast? Oh, call me whatever names you want. The two of us know that you're just being honest for once. I've known for years what you actually thought of me. All the lip service paid because she was there, it never fooled me. None of you ever fooled me. Oh, don't try now. Deny it all you want, but I know the truth. And you're here, still alive, but I could change that with a snap of my fingers. You're not as invincible as you used to be. The only reason you are still here, in one piece, with any minuscule possibility of leaving is because of Ember. Really? You still think I'm the one that was responsible? You should know better. I would never have harmed a hair on her head. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to think anything. I don't need your approval or your forgiveness. I never did. Do you forget that I loved her just the same? She's the only thing that made being here worthwhile. I begged for years, and all I got were lies. So don't lay these accusations at my feet. You can think whatever you want. I don't need you to understand. After all, you're the one who is locked up here, completely separated, not me. Well, one of them is too far gone, a complete thorn in my side. And the other, well, that is yet to be determined, though I have my suspicions. But if you don't eat the food my table so graciously provides, you won't likely live to see it. The choice is yours, but know these options are your only ones. Life or death. If I have my way of it, you will never see the light of day again. This is where you belong, in the dark, buried and forgotten, paying for everything you've done to try and stop me, just like everyone else. What happened to me? You have the gall to ask that after everything you've seen? Villains aren't born, darling. They are made. This is the result of your actions. All of your actions. And maybe, one day, maybe you will understand. But until then, if you don't eat, I will have you force-fed. Do remember I'm keeping you alive for her. She would be heartbroken if I let any harm come to her dear one. So I won't. Eat. I will not tell you